Then Jesus went back to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and the news about him spread through the entire region. And he began teaching in their synagogues, and was praised, and glorified and honored by all. So he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as was his custom, he entered the synagogue on the Sabbath, and stood up to read. The scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to announce release to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed." Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down to teach, and the eyes of all those in the synagogue were fixed on him. He began speaking to them, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing and in your presence." And they all were speaking well of him, and were in awe, and were wondering about the words of grace which were coming from his lips, and they were saying, "Is this not Joseph's son?" Then he came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and he was teaching them on the Sabbath. And they were surprised at his teaching, because his message was with authority and power and great ability. There was a man in the synagogue who was possessed by the spirit of an unclean demon, and he cried out with a loud and terrible voice, "Let us alone! What business do we have with each other, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him, saying, "Be silent and come out of him." And when the demon had thrown the man down among them, he came out of him without injuring him in any way. They were all astonished and in awe, and began saying to one another, "What is this message? For with authority and power he commands the unclean spirits, and they come out." And the news about him spread into every place in the surrounding district.